Something is wrong with this controller. Somebody help! Somebody help!
The PlayStation Classic was a plug-and-play console released by Sony in December 2018, attempting to mimic Nintendo's very successful line of classic systems. The end result was a crushing disappointment to every person who grew up playing the PlayStation and its classic library of games. In case your memory is foggy, let me remind you how it played out. The design of the console itself was really good, an almost perfect miniature of the original system. But the controllers? Folks, they included a replica of the very first PlayStation controller, and not the one everybody wanted, the one with the fun little thumbsticks. No, they gave you the OG thumbstickless version. The selection of games was a little confusing and bizarre, like Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six. The PlayStation version is considered the worst release of that classic game. And to pile the bad on bad, some of the games were actually worse to play on the Classic because they originally used the dual analog controller. I mean, seriously, who played Metal Gear Solid without the analog thumbsticks? And even if the console included a game you wanted to play, the chances of it being the correct version of the game, or even running it all that well, was pretty low. After the Classic was released, no one wanted it. You could go to almost any store and find a pile of unwanted PlayStation Classics decaying in the corner. Slashing the price didn't help either, leading some stores to try and give them away with the purchase of a PlayStation 4. The only way they could move these things was to bundle them with consoles gamers actually wanted. And what about the poor fans that pre-ordered this disaster? Well, let's just say the PS Classic looks good on a shelf. The consensus among gamers when it came to mini consoles was Nintendo does what Sony don't. Sony's attempt at a cheap and easy plug-and-play system was such a disappointment that no one in their right mind could dream of attempting to replicate it until today. Meet the P1 Mini game console, the bootleg knockoff PlayStation Classic. When I saw this online, I just had to order it to find out if they could have made the PlayStation Classic better than Sony did. Of course they didn't. Would it be on this show if it was? Look at this case. They barely even tried to make it look like a convincing PlayStation. I mean, yeah, the basic design is there, but there's no logo on the lid. The open button doesn't even function, and they etched the labels into the power and reset buttons using this ugly font. Now, let's go to the best part, the controllers. The console has two USB controller ports in the front, just like the original, but this controller feels like a toy controller you'd give to a toddler to play with. They're smaller than the regular PlayStation controller, and they weigh about as much as a breath mint. And if you look at the top, they have the molding for the shoulder buttons and triggers, but nothing's there. It's smooth. But against all odds, they actually got the select and start buttons correct. Right shapes and everything. This totally makes up for the fact that the face buttons all have the tactile feedback of a cup of pudding. After reviewing so many of these systems over the years, I've gained the unpleasant ability to know a controller is bad before ever using it to play a game. It's a blessing and a curse. But speaking of games, before we fire this baby up, let's look at the user manual. Every good gamer should always read the safety warnings carefully before attempting to operate any console. Number 1. Available for 5+ children, and please, no allow they play it alone. Children over the age of 5 shouldn't be playing the console by themselves. I'm over 5 years old. Can I not play it by myself? Number 2. Please power off and stay cool after play for 5 hours. This likely means the console is gonna overheat and melt after playing it too long. That's hot. Number 3. Please keep the console from the place extremely cold or hot. So okay, don't put it in the oven or the freezer. Gotcha. Number 4. Please do not disassemble or repair the game console by yourself. Don't worry, I have no intention of using a donut to repair any game by myself. Number 5. The game console is not support 4K solution television. Oh buddy, nobody anywhere thinks your crap box is capable of running 4K. Don't even worry about it. Now yes, the system clearly does not support 4K, but get this, it doesn't support 1080 or even 720. Nope, the P1 mini game console is rocking a standard definition picture with these included composite video cables. At least the PlayStation Classic comes out on top when it comes to supporting HD TVs. The only question that now remains is what PlayStation games this thing is running. There are no games listed on the packaging, so I don't know what to expect. It's possible we might get even more PlayStation games than what was included on the original PlayStation Classic. Heck, there were pirated PlayStation games on that knockoff SNES that we took a look at, and that was a bootleg Nintendo console. We've also seen them on the legendary Soulja Boy consoles, especially that one that looked like an Xbox One. Sure, they didn't run well, but they were there. So with the system being played by a 5+ child in a place that is neither extremely cold or hot while trying to play everything within 5 hours before it melts down or something, let's see what amazing PlayStation games are on this thing. Why am I not surprised? Of course it's a bunch of poorly emulated Famicom games. Of course! When you see this console, you naturally think 8-bit graphics, don't ya? That's why the controller had the top button shaved off. They had no intention of running real PlayStation games on this thing. Just judging from the menu alone, the console boasts 620 games in one. But we know better than that, folks, don't we? So I checked it, and the game list restarts at number 313 and just duplicates the games from that point forward. So there are only 312 games built in, and none of them are worth playing. You don't believe me? Well, let's take a look. Super Contra 6. Any fan of Contra that has a taste for the spread shot knows that the NES didn't get 6 Contra games. But no one told these folks. The game opens up with a player select screen. We get to choose from longtime Contra heroes like John Rambo and Guile and Ryu from Street Fighter. At least Bill Reiser is here. When the game starts up, it appears to just be a hack of Contra Force, the third Contra game on the NES. It doesn't run very well, but why stop at Super Contra 6 when you can have Super Contra 7? It's a sequel to a sequel that doesn't exist. Unlike Super Contra 6, which is a hack of another game, this one is a strange blended hack of multiple games all jumbled together. You might recognize elements of this game, like the background for instance, but it's not from another Contra game. Nope, it's from Mighty Final Fight. It plays super poorly, with broken enemies that spawn and run into solid objects, like these guys right here. Bottom line, folks, stick with the real Contra games. You don't want to play these ones. Let's try something we've actually heard of before. Dr. Mario, made in 1993 by Ross, so it's clearly been hacked. So far though, this looks just like the real Dr. Mario. The game settings menu and everything else looks fine. Let's just start the level and see what just happened. Why did Mario turn into a weird jumble of letters and symbols? Okay, so Dr. Mario is busted. Let's try something else. Super Chinese, also known as Kung Fu Heroes. Now, what's gone wrong here? The game boots up properly, but then as soon as you go to play it, this happens. We're playing over top of the level start page. The game isn't supposed to look like this. There's supposed to be an actual, level. Here is what the game should actually look like, but here we've got this crazy mess. Now, I've played this game on another knockoff console, and the audio was broken on that one, but at least the stupid level loaded properly. But now, the entire game is completely broken from start to finish. Bump and jump. Everybody loves a little bump and jump. Oh no! It sounds like the car has a flat tire and the engine is made of, I want to say, broken Lego. Route 16 Moto, also known as Route 16 Turbo by Sunsoft. I guess they thought if they removed the copyright info and changed the name, we wouldn't notice that they just ripped everything off. We totally noticed. But seriously folks, this game is great. You get to race around collecting Microsoft icons from the year 1995. Look, there's the Internet Explorer icon. Then over there, that's Outlook Express. Here, we get the Internet Explorer icon and the speaker icon. Score! Then there's the search folder icon. I hear if you pick that one up, you get to search for a better game. Falling Blocks. This looks like it's supposed to be a Tetris bootleg. But the game seems to be broken.
When Rerez stuck in knockoff land, let my blog go.
Let's see if we can find another game that is identical to Falling Blocks, but actually plays and misuses an unlicensed ripoff of a cherished character. You don't gotta look far, folks. Pikachu, also known as Poke Tetris. It's Tetris, but you get to have Pikachu staring at you the whole time. They put him in Ash's red cap, probably to avoid any copyright infringement.
That's not Pikachu. He's totally wearing a red hat, as you can tell. Totally a different character. Legally.
Pikachu's celebration when you clear a line is a welcome addition, but this display when you pass a stage is very much unwanted. Anybody want to party?
And if you want someone to never speak to you again, you can plug in another controller and Jigglypuff can join the party. Controlling this game with a pathetic pack and controller makes moving your piece where you want a hopeless task. Every input is treated as a double or even triple input. It's enough to make you yank your hair out. Pikachu, you need a timeout. Candy Workshop. The point of the game is to collect candy that is being shot out of a cannon, catch it midair, and place it in an open box before collecting the lid for said box and closing it up. The game largely doesn't make a lot of sense and doesn't seem to function. It's not obvious how to complete the game, and the rules are never really explained to you. So you end up running around in a panic, putting random candies in boxes and not knowing how the scoring works. If you push the wrong button, your candy disappears and you lose a point. And then sometimes you accidentally bounce the candy back into the cannon, but that doesn't lose you a point. This game makes no sense. What sugary slave master is making this teddy bear toil in this confectionery hellhole? This has got Willy Wonka written all over it.
What's this? Frantic Mous? Oh, Frantic Mous. I played this game on the Worst Plug and Play 2 episode. Last time I played this game, I lost my temper a bit.
But the very first cloud is glitched! And I received a lot of comments telling me I wasn't using the correct technique to catch the cloud. Now, I get a second chance to redeem myself. I study the footage, put in the time, and now it all comes down to this.
Yes! Did you see that? I made the jump! Now to continue and finally beat this game once and for... Wait, was that a double jump glitch? No! No! I was so close! Frantic Mous! Frantic Mous!
Animal Contest, another absolutely irritating game from the Retro Play 200. A game where random animals win over other random animals for no reason. Or so I thought. I've played this game so much, I actually found a pattern. During my second playthrough, I cracked the code. I figured out how it works. Can you see it? Can you? It's by weight. The heavier animal wins the contest. I guess because they sit on the smaller animal and crush them. It's still a stupid game of chance where you push one button repeatedly and where winning and losing doesn't matter. I lost the first stage and progressed to the next one anyways. You see, even if you lose, you win. But you always lose when you play this game. Rabbit Village? I played this one before too. That's a weird coincidence. Rabbits and baskets, nothing's really changed. Police Dog Lassie, Goblet Tower, Mowing, Wild Worm? Half the games on this console are games I've already seen on other bootleg systems. It's not just games I've reviewed either. There are games here that we didn't have time to include in our past videos. Lucky for you though, I'm gonna share the madness with you today. Orchard Kavas presents to start Orchard Kavas. Welcome, level 1. And then you're a little naked guy with a bug poison sprayer. The game has you float from side to side, spraying your poofs of poison at the bugs that land on the trees. They must really like the trees. Now, I haven't actually seen this game before, but I do know the game it's based on. This is a hack of a game from the worst plug and play 2 called IQ Champion, which is also on this console. The game plays the same, sliding back and forth, shooting down bugs. Only in IQ Champion, you play as Mega Man and you shoot bug bullets out of your wide, gaping mouth while reaching for the heavens. This game, which itself is a hack of buzz bombers for Intellivision, is so broken that it doesn't even have a game complete page. Before the end of the 9th level, it just resets to a new game, wiping all of my progress. Fruit Pig. In this gem of a game, you play as a dancing pig who is tasked to spend eternity running around catching mysterious falling fruit while a phantom clock counts down their doom. At the beginning of each stage, you're told how much fruit to collect with the same infographic. I need to collect greater than 11 lemons, strawberries, and apples? What's with this greater than crap? If I need 11, just say I need 11. This is needlessly complicated. The game just keeps going and going, and the level never changes. Each stage increases the required fruit collected and gives you a bit more time to do it in. But what makes it infuriating is that the pig walks so slowly. You might need a specific fruit and you may see one falling, but should you go try and catch it? No, not if it's on the other side of the screen, because you'll never get there in time. This is one of the most pointless games I've ever seen, unless you have a thing for dancing pigs, of course. And if you do, this is your lucky day. And by the way, since when do strawberries fall from trees? Aladdin 3. This beauty is a hack of an unlicensed Famicom game called Magic Carpet 1001. I've never had the pleasure to play that particular waste of time, but apparently in this hacked version, you fly slower. Oh no, now it's not going to be any good. This game first appeared on the Cool Baby 601, and I thought it was gonna stay there. What you have here is a shmup with tons of enemies flying at you with bizarre and nonsensical patterns that rarely duplicate and are impossible to follow. You'll see enemies like these hooded goons riding on rockets. Now, you might be asking yourself, was there actually rocket technology in the Arabian Nights tales? Of course not, but don't worry about that now, things are about to get much worse. Soon there will be a torrential storm of bullets flying at you from all directions, and Aladdin's speed is far too slow to avoid them. Some enemies take multiple hits to die, and others are easier, but it doesn't matter. Your fire rate is so slow that it will be an impossible challenge to take out any enemy before they take you out of the skies. Also, you can't accurately fly your carpet and fire arrows at the same time. Every time I tried to move around while firing, my controls would lock up. But if you do manage to eliminate enough enemies, you might get a power-up. These can increase your speed, or make you fire faster, or give you a shield, but there's no rhyme or reason to how you find them. And when you do manage to achieve the impossible and find them, you won't be able to pick them up because the hitboxes on everything in this game, including the power-ups, are so broken. But if you prove yourself to be worthy, you will get to boss fights pulled straight from Aladdin's adventures. Characters like the witch on a broomstick, or an alligator flying in a pot shooting fireballs at you. You know, all the classics. The witch takes forever to beat due to the slow shooting speed. You can be here forever. But this stupid gator is a different story. Even with the speed power up, you will not fly fast enough to avoid this fiery attack. Maybe, just maybe, if this was playing with real hardware, you might have a chance of beating it. But with this poor emulation and garbage controller, I could not get past the second level. So I had to pull the game from the console and play it on more efficient hardware. And to my horror, I discovered that after defeating the third boss, a flying skull thing, Aladdin gets warped into space, instantly gaining the ability to breathe in a vacuum while flying past planets with his magic carpet waving in the wind that doesn't exist outside Earth's atmosphere. So what final boss awaits him on this last stage? Disney's Jafar? An evil genie? What even is that? Is that a giant floating mouth? You didn't read the fairy tales before making this game, did you? Or you know what? My bad. I must have forgot that one tale of Arabian Nights where Aladdin fought the nightmare space mouth. Now that we've seen what the P1 mini game console has to offer, we have to ask how it compares when put directly against the PlayStation Classic. This has 300 games, and this one only has 20 games, and it's missing a bunch of classics. But the hundreds of games on this one are broken hacks, but the 20 games on this one here also have emulation problems. But the controllers for this one are hollow nightmares. But this one, the controllers didn't actually have the thumbsticks, and that's not very good. And
Well,
I haven't decided yet. It really feels like the sun is setting on the mini console boom. Most of the obvious choices have already been classicified. Nintendo's NES and SNES, Sega Genesis, even the TurboGrafx got a mini release. And let's not forget the arcade entries with the Neo Geo Mini and Capcom Home Arcade. But the PlayStation Classic was unique. It was one of the first to focus exclusively on 3D games. And while it failed amazingly, at least Sony can hold their heads up high in the knowledge that they didn't release this.